Well, thanks for joining us. And we know all is set for the Independence Day celebrations that will be marked at the Black Star Square here in Accra. And already we've had some dignitaries that have been trickling in onto the square and taking their positions at the various reserved areas. And very soon we'll bring you live pictures from the Independence Square, where we also have correspondents there to give you detailed analysis on what is going to take place the next 2-3 hours. And of course, the occasion will be graced by President John Dramani Mahama, as well as we have ministers, as well as other individuals and personalities of the various political parties who will be present at the event. But 58 years on, as we're marking Independence Day, what has Ghana really achieved? Would we say for all the decades that we've marked our independence, or following that very ability to be able to get out of colonial rule from the British, we have invested in the human resource of our country? Have we invested in the various sectors to which we can, for the foreseeable future, predict that 100 years on, Ghana will be a stable country and a country that is good for the development of its own citizens? Well, one group, pressure group, that has been occupying the minds of many people is Occupy Ghana. And just the last few months, they've been at it, making sure that government is on its toes and various promises that have been given to the citizenry are adequately met. Already, we know that we're bedeviled with issues of the energy crisis and the falling variables of the various sectors of the economy. And these have also put a lot more excessive pressure on businesses, individuals, and other domestic people. So we have in the studio somebody who is in charge of media relations and PR with Occupy Ghana, George Anti. And George Kojo Anti is with me this morning. Thanks very much. You're also the Executive Secretary for Concerned Ghanaians for Responsible Government. Is that different from Occupy Ghana?
As of now, we can say it's one and the same. It's a mother and a baby. Now the mother, which is CGRG, has taken the back seat, and we're all driving, you know, the agenda for progress with Occupy Ghana.
But just having a holistic discussion on the subject of our independence and posited it on the problems that we've had the last couple of years, I believe 2-3 years down the line, would you say we just have to look at these problems the last few years and make conclusions that Ghana has achieved nothing in 58 years?
Well, Roland, I think it would be unfair for anybody to suggest that Ghana has achieved absolutely nothing. But you know, there's the saying that the eagle that constantly plays with chicken will never learn to fly. Ghana has been that eagle that has been playing with chickens for, you know, as far back as we can remember. When we had independence from the British, you know, there was a certain wave, and the wave was that the black man was capable of, you know, managing, you know, his own life, and indeed managing the economy, managing the country. And 58 years down the line, we want to ask ourselves, how successful have we been? Singapore is about 50 years, if I am not mistaken. Malaysia and other countries that we can call our contemporaries in terms of the attainment of independence are far more advanced and far more developed than Ghana is. So we've achieved something, but if you look on the report card, there's a lot more room for improvement, yes, a lot more.
Now, if we have to take various sectors together, or at the time of independence, we're just less than a population of 6 million. Well, we needed to extend electricity to a lot more communities. But the foremost interest of the government in 1957 was to make sure we had the best human resource. And so even you could pass through the university, and then you could become a director of a ministry, etc., yes, or the head of a department. You could become a clerk just by going through, let's say, the normal middle-level school,
basic training, yes,
school certificates, examinations, and have it through the process. And if you go to secondary school, then you are even a more bigger person.
Yeah.
Now, do you think we've done well in human resource training for various sectors of the economy?
Well, I would say no. I would say no. Why would I say no? Using the tertiary institutions in the country that we have as a case in point, you'd realize that there has been a raging debate between industry and the education sector in that respect, where industry is constantly complaining that the products that the universities, for instance, the polytechnics, the training colleges, etc., are churning out are not products that meet the needs of the industry as we currently have it.
Okay,
now,
and already we are bringing to you live pictures from the Independence Square in Accra. It depends on how you want to call it, the Black Star Square, as these days is referred to. The activities formally have begun. It means that the dignitaries have now taken their seats, and now you have Ayawaso, West Wuogon, sub-metro schools who are marching. And you can see just behind there an Islamic school with the pupils having the hijab on. I don't know whether that nullifies all the debate about whether we should have non-religious activities in schools or religious activities in schools. But then this is just the foremost or the beginning aspect of the whole activity at the Independence Square here in Accra. We're told that several hundreds of pupils or students are also represented here from various sections of the Greater Accra region, but especially the Accra metropolitan area, and also represented the various sections of the security services. Now, these individuals, pupils, students, as well as personnel of the various security services had undergone several days of training at the Independence Square here in Accra. Notably, we know that on this very day, usually we'll have the heat occupying many of them as far as exhaustion and the tiredness that was setting. And so we have the Ghana Ambulance Service or the National Ambulance Service that have readied the ambulances ready just in case of any emergency to make sure that they take whoever has collapsed to the nearest medical facility. And so, well, if you have the opportunity and you're around there, you can still go have a look. But then, if you don't, please stay with us. Always make sure you get interactive with us. We have on Facebook, Join News on TV, and also a handle on Twitter, Join News on TV. Okay, so this is what we're going to do in the course of the whole program. If we see some important sections, as and when we see them on our screens, we'll try to bring them live to you. All right. So you were talking about the HR training. Now, yes. As you made those initial contributions, we've evolved from just perhaps training normal civil servants, enough teachers, health personnel, etc. Now, what the world is talking about, and I read something from the World Bank that says that in developing countries, 58% of the HR needs are still not in tune with industry. Yeah. It still means that we need to train specialized people.
Yes.
Do you think that as a country that's the path that we're going? We have an educational system in tune or in tandem with industry?
Well, Roland, that's the point I was making earlier on. And these are comments that have indeed come from industry within Ghana. We don't need the World Bank to come in and tell us this. Our industries here, major industry players are telling us that, look, the products you are churning out, they don't meet the needs of the industry as we currently have it. So you produce graduates who come out and have to be retrained, to fit the needs of industry. Now, specialized training, that is one key point that we need to look at. And then again, we also have to look at what exactly our strengths as a nation are. Now, if it's production, what sectors of production are we looking at? What are we looking at producing? If you are mounting a course in Ghana on building spacecrafts, let's be serious with ourselves. That is not where our niche is. Right. So if the agricultural sector is the backbone of the economy as it is said. Why don't we look at, building industries, that would add some value to the raw materials that we constantly ship out? We are shipping out cocoa beans, we are shipping out timber, we are shipping out, we can add some value to some of these products.
So value addition critical.
Yes. So then if you are looking at that, then you are looking at people who are skilled in, say, cocoa processing, people who are skilled in, basically adding value to the raw materials that this country is endowed with. We have an oil and gas sector that is pretty nascent, but then again, that's another place that we can look at, training people to gradually, take over this sector with time, So basically, there are some courses that are being mounted now that are not that relevant to the needs of Ghana currently. We can look at scrapping some of those courses and then introducing courses that meet the needs of the industry. The educational, the stakeholders in the education sector need to, engage more with the major players in industry. Find out what the needs of industry are and tailor your courses to meet those needs. Otherwise, you churn out graduates and there are jobs, but the graduates don't fit into the jobs. They are square pegs and we are trying to fit them into round holes. It will never work. It will never work.
Yeah, we still have communities in our country for which people will have to travel several kilometers, especially if they're pregnant women, to access health care. We've had efforts to make sure that we meet maternal mortality as set out in the Millennium Development Goals. We've been falling short of the percentages to be able to meet those goals. But do you think consciously, with all the health facilities that we have provided, with all the access we try to breach by training a lot more, perhaps health personnel, etc., we'll get there someday, perhaps in the nearest possible time?
Well, Roland, let me sum it up this way. The country is bedeviled with a number of challenges. You've mentioned healthcare. We can go on and on and on. There's energy, there's the economy. It goes on and on and on. But all these challenges trace their roots to one thing. It's leadership direction. So if we want to get to the promised land, the so-called promised land, the land that Kwame Nkrumah some 58 years back, envisioned that Ghana would become, we need a change in leadership direction, right? Governments need to stop concentrating on the next election and concentrate more on the next generation. We have this phenomenon in Ghana now where politicians are, for want of a better word, fixated on winning the next election at all cost. So we don't plan. The energy crisis we are dealing with now, we are told that some time back we should have projected that the population would grow. This is common sense. And therefore we should have increased generation capacity. Why was it never done? Why was it never done? Why are we still dealing with these issues today? So the question that you've asked me on healthcare, we have an insurance system, national health insurance system, where, what do you call it? Contributions are paid. Whenever you purchase something and there's VAT on it, you are paying the NHIL. Government is not making the payments to the statutory funds. You understand?
And so management of the health authority don't have the funds to pay the service providers.
And this is a problem with leadership direction. See, so the problems of this country can be solved. I strongly believe that the problems of this country can be solved if we have a change in the direction of the leadership. Right. Now, problems of the health sector, you can build clinics, but if there's no access, then what is the use of the clinics sitting there? You can produce doctors and nurses. If you are not paying them well, and then they are constantly going on strike every now and then, are you achieving anything? So let's look at the problems that we have holistically. Let our leaders begin to focus more on building something for the next generation and not just on winning the next election. And we would have some positive change in this country.
Okay, we're still with George Kwejo, and he is with Occupy Ghana. We're also just stimulating our thoughts, looking at 58 years of marking independence from colonial or British rule, and what have we achieved? What do we need to do as a way forward, looking as far as this very subject is concerned? We have correspondents at the Independence Square here in Accra, and it's led by our anchor for the day, Ni Akofi Smart Abe, and Ni will be leading us as far as doing all the analysis on what's taking place on the square, the Independence Square today.
They are the Osuklote Sub-Metro, Ayawasu East Sub-Metro, Kankwe North Sub-Metro, Ablekuma Central Sub-Metro, Institute of Islamic Studies Sub-Metro, and then Ayawasu West Wogon Sub-Metro. Those are the pupils from those schools that have come onto the parade grounds. Also, we have 5 senior high schools, Kimbu Senior High Technical, Accra Technical Training College, Sacred Heart Technical Institute, St. Margaret Mary Senior High School, and also Salem Senior High School here in Osu. They are those who are on the parade grounds right now, and this year there's been a bit of change in how the parade will go. As I indicated earlier, this is just a part of the contingent that will be taking part in the 58th anniversary parade. So we have this set that will start. President Mahama is expected to join us somewhere in about 5 minutes for the parade to actually take off. Later on, we also expect the special forces of the Ghana Armed Forces, plus special units of the fire service, immigration service, customs division of the GRA, as well as prison service, to also take part in the parade. And then we'll see some of the display also by the military and the police, who have their tanks and other vehicles available here to display. But one thing you might also want to watch out for is the air assault maneuver that will be done by the Ghana Air Force. It's something new, some new addition to this year's parade. Quickly, we have our parade commander for today, Colonel John Obiba Kuse, and then his 2IC, or his second in command, is Commander Stephen Billings Nyam, and then his parade adjutant is Squadron Leader Geoffrey Yao Bonodi, and then we have the RSM being Staff Warrant Officer Fred Teku. They are those who are the parade assignment for today, or they are those in charge of the parade that will be happening here at the Black Star Square. We've seen former President Rawlings arrive. We've also seen former President Kufuor arrive, with the Red Cross going behind me. I'm sure probably there's been some casualty recorded on the parade ground, so they're going to take care of that. Well, this is nothing particularly new. It happens almost every year. Even when I was here on Wednesday for the rehearsal, we had a few of the casualties here being recorded. But as I was saying earlier, some of the former head of state, former President Kufuor and former President Rawlings, have joined us here at the Black Star Square. The NPP's presidential candidate for the 2016 election, Nana Akufo-Addo, has also joined us. Also in our midst is the Vice President, Mr. Arthur, the Chief of Staff. So it's one student from the Islamic Institute of Islamic Studies who has been carried off the parade grounds. I'm sure she will be replaced by someone else. And looking behind me, I see the motorcade arriving. I'm sure President Mahama will be joining us pretty shortly. But as I was saying, Chief Justice Georgina Wood is also in our midst, as well as the Vice President, Mr. Arthur. I've not seen the cavalry yet, but looking at the time, it's almost 8:45. So with the motorcade coming, I'm sure President Mahama will be joining us shortly. If that is not him, then it will be one or two of the visiting head of states that we're expected to join us. The parade commander is calling the parade to attention to welcome the guests who are joining us. That I can almost say for certain is not President Mahama, because the cavalry did not lead it. Did not lead this particular convoy that just came in. But I suspect, yes, it's a visiting dignitary that is joining us on the parade ground. So later we'll expect that President Mahama will also join us. We are expecting, we're told on Wednesday that we'll be expecting a minimum of 2 or 3 heads of state join us today for our 58th Independence Anniversary celebration. Looks like one of them has just arrived. I couldn't see properly who it is that has arrived, but we are expecting. Okay, the parade is being called to stand at ease because the dignitary has already arrived and is making his way to his seat right now. Okay, another set of motorcades are coming in, and they're being cheered on by the spectators at the far side of the square. Whilst they do that, the Red Cross is also taken. Okay, so, well, the cavalry hasn't arrived yet, but Major Evelyn Intiama tells us that President John Mahama is arriving, and there I can see the cavalry already making their way onto the square. So yes, indeed, President Mahama joining us on the parade ground, and there's a fanfare from atop the Freedom and Justice Arch, which is across the street from the Independence Square, or the Black Star Square, to herald the President's arrival. So the cavalry always leads presidents when the head of state, whenever he is attending the Independence Anniversary. Okay, so we're being told that once the president makes his way to the saluting days, then we should all rise so that we take the national salute. And as I was saying, whilst the president is arriving, we have another casualty which the Red Cross and St. John's Ambulance are taking care of. It looks like a student from, I think, a Blekuma Central Sub-Metro who is being carried off the parade grounds right now. President Mahama finally, his car pulls to a stop, and the military police personnel opening the door for President Mahama and his wife, the First Lady, Lodina Mahama, to get down from the car. And of course, you can hear the applause coming in from the crowd for the president and his wife. And again, this year, the president goes in for a smoke. Last year, he was in a smoke. And this year, it's interesting to see that President Mahama is again in the smoke. Well, okay, it looks like the clouds are gathering above the sea, which is to my right. I just pray that, as the meteor said, it may be cloudy, so probably no cause for alarm yet. But let's just hope that the clouds don't give way anytime soon. And so essentially that's what's happening now. We're taking the national salute. So let me hand over back to you in the studio. I have to shut up now to observe the national parade, the national anthem.
Shall we please rise?
Well, so we're still bringing you live pictures from the Independence Square here in Accra, and the president just came in. We had the national anthem played, and thereafter proceedings will continue. So we'll end our discussions here, and we've had George Kujoanti from Occupy Ghana with us, and then we'll continue with activities at the Independence Square, live events.